Broadcast Podcast. My name is Maddox Gilkey, and I'm your host for today. And to my left, we have...
My name's Lily, except I'm going to have to lean even closer to the mic in your face, and I'm doing great, actually.
All right. And next to her, we got...
Ashton Jackson.
And behind him, we have...
Annabella Archie.
And next to her, we have...
I'm Joseph Velasquez. Nice to meet you. I'm doing great.
And beside him, we have...
I am Joshua Grubbs. Thanks for having me, Maddox.
No problem. And next to him, we have...
Lashik. And it has been a manic Monday.
Heard.
And then there's me, Sam Weathers. I'm doing all right.
Who's going to betray us and leave in a couple of minutes?
Absolutely.
All
Can't understand you guys, honestly.
Same. Why are you still here anyways?
That's a good point.
All right, Maddox, what's our
Leave.
topic today?
All right. Well, first of all, before we get into our topic, I want to figure out how are we doing today? What are we doing?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we already covered that part.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
All right,
We
so
really
the topic
appreciate
today
that.
is going to be about artificial intelligence.
There you go. So what do we think about artificial intelligence? Pretty hot topic for the century, I guess, or society right now.
Well, you're talking to, I'm pretty sure, a bunch of communications majors, so more than likely, all of us are not big fans of artificial intelligence, at least in, like, writing and stuff. I mean, I don't mind it for... Never mind, I'm actually not gonna say that last thing.
Yeah,
Knock
I
on
think my
wood.
professors
Yeah.
might find me and take away my computer privileges.
Honestly,
I got you.
I don't really know how to use the AI programs, but I like them because I like the concept of being able to get stuff finished without trying to find a group of people to do something if you just want to do a quick project.
Okay.
But at the same time, they're also getting in the way. Like, more writers are being fired, which is why there's a writer's strike happening. It's like the WGA, right? I don't know. But there's a writer's strike happening right now because they're trying to fire people and use artificial intelligence. And there's also the argument of artificial intelligence brings in a bunch of just copyrighted things and turn it into something new, even though it's stealing from people who are getting zero credit.
I'd like to interject here a little bit. I think AI is part of the writer's strike, but I also think the writer's strike's going on because there's too many writers out there, and it's getting very oversaturated.
And I would like to add something too. The writer's strike is happening for multiple reasons. Artificial intelligence isn't really primarily used in writing processes right now, but writers are scared about that being the case because it's already doing really good. Like, you can write a whole English essay, which I may or may not have done recently, off of artificial intelligence, and it's easy to do that and just get it out of the way. And for people that are trying to make cheaper content to reach to larger people to make more money, you're going to primarily try to do the cheapest option to get out of there.
May
Yeah.
I interject though?
No,
How
Hey,
close do
everybody
I
gets a
have
voice,
to,
come
like,
on.
lean to
You're good.
not.
Could you repeat that real quick?
You're good.
Everything you just said is like great, but my thing about AI is that it kind of just takes away all like ethics and integrity. Like, I don't know if y'all
I
seen
think, yeah,
these
what you do.
annoying
You're nice.
YouTube short commercials, like the ads on YouTube, and people be like, "Hey, I just made a whole YouTube video with AI."
Yeah, but
And-
does it suck or is it good? That's
It
the whole
sucks.
thing.
I don't
It's
think
not
it's
even
nice.
like people doing it. It's just I think that kind of I don't like how people would just rather get it out of the way and like do everything themselves.
I feel like going off what Sam, what you're saying, like AI can like write something like good, and like what Sam was saying, like it can write a bunch of stuff and it can get it out quick and everything, but like AI can never clone like the human process and like how humans feel. So like
Not
if a woman-
yet. Not yet, at least.
If a woman was like making a movie or a TV short about like her experience with like sexual abuse or sexual assault, the AI can never clone that because they can't clone that person.
Yeah, human emotions, you mean?
Now, I will say, you are correct, and what you actually said earlier was correct as well. I'm sure most of you are communication majors. I'm an IT major. I kind of understand how it works a bit, It is a AI essentially, for any viewers at home who may not know. It pulls information from the internet and that trains the AI so it can then create stuff based off of the information it has. So it pulls 10 English essays off of the internet, uses all of that information to make an English essay when you ask, such as Sam, make me an English essay. Easy enough, right? The issue with that, though, is, as you kind of said earlier, it plagiarizes all of that work, pulling each person's way of writing out of that paper and then making their own. Even though it's not original, it's not new, it's just essentially copied work pieced together.
I think this is a millennial problem because this is the thing. When you ask it to create something, that is not a finished work. That is why you have to rewrite. That is ideas. That is what it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be write me an essay and then you turn in that essay. That's complete plagiarism. That is not what it's meant to do. That is the dark side of it. If you go by that, then that's why people will lose jobs and not be able to do anything. You have to put your own creativity. Okay, I can't say the word right now, but you have to be creative in what you pull off of there. It's just like if you were to read the encyclopedia to write an essay, you don't write exactly what's there. That's not how it's supposed to be used.
Hey, hold on. I think Velasquez
Yeah.
has something to say.
Yeah, I have something to say. So, like, while I understand both sides' point of view, at some point, how does, like, your own artwork, how does your own voice, because now there's also things about AI being able to clone voices now, and how would that work into people's contract? How will you get more people into this field? Because you need experts, people who know what they're doing. You're not going to get, if you're just going to get, like, a bunch of people going to college and all that, just using, like, AI or something instead of learning it from the basics, instead of taking the time to do the basics, you're not going to have those professionals.
That's why our society is lazy because of things like AI. It is just a reiteration of everything. Like we started off with the thumbprint, then we're at the eyes, now we're at Face ID. Like all of those things are just to make us lazier. So I really don't know, like why do people even like all of this AI stuff? Like what is even just to take shortcuts for free or stuff? Like
I might be able to elaborate a bit more, guys. So for one, earlier, the writer strike thing I was talking about, AI is a pretty big part about that right now. It says, I found an article right now, it says writer strike, why AI is such a hot button issue in Hollywood's labor battle with SAG after whatever. It's a pretty big problem because they are trying to cut out writers. That's less people to pay. It's not exactly. That's less people you have to pay. The people trying to make
Makes
money.
for poor content. Though.
Yes, that's the other thing. There are AIs that we don't talk about. We're always talking about ChatGPT and things along those lines. There are bigger AIs that are just as funny, if not funnier than me. I'm hilarious, guys. Like right. And, like people are always laughing when I'm around. See, right, like that. Perfect. Great example. But I read an article because one of my favorite comedians, John Mulaney, put on his story, "This is Scary," and it was a link to an article, and it was by Time Magazine, and it's why AI is like so scary. And in it, there were I told you to read these gag article names by The Onion and determine which one was made by this AI and which one was made by The Onion. And I laughed at all of them. They were funny. And the trick about it was that they were all written by AI. And I was like, oh, no.
I still think that this is a problem for people who are just starting out, so they don't know how it was. It's like when computers first came out, it was all green screen. You had to write your pages. Who would do that now? And that will be the same thing. Oh, well, now we don't have people that can write the pages anymore. They just use the computer. It's like, if you choose to be lazy, you will be lazy. If you don't,
but
you can work
Can
on
I
it.
the
just
thing
real quick?
about that,
So the thing is, there should be a line instead of like what should be human, what should be AI, what we can do.
Mm-hmm.
there's supposed to be a creative line, and that shouldn't be crossed.
Preach it.
The thing is,
Creative
big
line should not be
companies,
crossed.
big production companies, and people in Hollywood do not care about the laziness. They want the money. A lot of people, the popcorn flicks, there are movies that literally are getting thrown out there since like the beginning. Illumination Studios, I hate them more than anything. I hate them. They have no integrity with their movies. They just look bright colors. It's a kids movie. It doesn't matter. But kids movies do matter. And so, like, big companies, and that's why the strike, or part of the reason for the strike, like you guys said, there was also other issues that play into the writer's strike, but a big one of them is AI, because that's why there needs to be that line that's drawn.
Coming from that background, I am a SAG actor.
Yeah.
We are on strike right now.
Yeah.
But this is the thing. There's always going to be people who use the technology for unscrupulous things. You can't back them. Like you said, they care about the money. Mm-hmm. So as they said in Kill Bill, you have to F them with your cash. That's how you do. I don't want to see that. I want to see people, because I can't fan a computer. I can't get an autograph from a computer. I want to see real people. But yes, you should still use the technology to make something better, but not to make something completely.
So emphasis on should.
That's what I was going to say.
A lot of big companies don't care about originality, etc. They're going to care about what makes them the most money. So they're just going to get an AI to write a script and hire 1 or 2 people, oversee it, rewrite it, etc., just as you said, but that's still so many people out of their jobs. You had something to say, Maddox?
Yeah. He's got something to say.
Yeah, I got one more claim, and then I'm out of here, folks.
All right.
Basically, I completely understand, okay, so AI is something that it's here, better or worse, it's here. It's never going away. At this point, it's only going to get better. The way to combat that, I am with Lily on this, that there is going to be a time period, at least years, where all of these cookie cutter artificial intelligence made films or TV shows are going to come out. But I don't think it'll be indefinite, because people like genuine human contact. However, if we are not weary about AI, there's going to be a line that's going to be so overshadowed because you won't be able to tell what's human contact and what isn't anymore.
So there actually is something like
And on that note, I'm leaving. Sorry, folks.
So
Well, thank you for your time.
Like,
And what's your name? Also, just walked out of the building. I don't know where she went. Annabella.
What's her name?
I'm still trying to figure out names
She
here.
is coming back.
Okay, she's coming back. Okay, I didn't. All right.
All right, bye,
Well,
folks.
thank you for your time,
Thank you,
James.
Sam.
Sam.
Hi, Sam.
Now, even though he is leaving, there is a point I wanted to say on that. There's actually a post that was made to a Reddit arts something, I don't know what it's called, but it was a man who made a piece of artwork, and he got banned from that because the reason was it was too similar to AI.
Mm-hmm.
And he got banned for that. Didn't get rejoined even though he appealed it. It was so similar to AI, it was very good that he got banned. And it's just so hard to tell which is which now.
So
I feel like we are AI is starting to get to the point where it's getting very hard to distinguish what is human and what is AI. Just like you said, and I think I think it can be a good thing but as equally as a bad thing as it is.
The thing, go ahead.
But yeah, going off what she said and then what you said and then what Sam was saying, like technology is always advancing. So like in the film industry, like when sound was introduced to movies, that was something new that people didn't like because a lot of actors didn't have that ability to act with sound, and they just had the ability to act with their bodies. So I feel like it's somewhat like that a little bit, but I feel like in today's time, people are abusing the fact with AI and all that because, like Lily was saying, they just care about the money. Like big businesses, that's like my whole thing of like why I don't want to go like mainstream or anything like that, because big corporations just care about money. So you got like tons of writers just sitting there putting out like
Big
50 great
corporations
movies.
can close.
But Disney's never going to.
Yeah.
And Disney puts out
Please, have
reboot
you
after
seen their
reboot
stock?
after reboot.
Capitalism is
I
always
like
going to run.
Disney. It sucks, and it's not really.
I
that
grew up
good
with
anymore.
Disney.
I did too, and I liked Disney.
It's like
Disney hasn't been putting out.
I think
Any
the
good quality.
beginning of the
Nothing
end was
new.
when they bought
No.
Lucas Studios. That's what I think.
Yeah,
Because they ruined Star Wars.
it's the reboot after reboot after reboot after prequel after sequel
Yeah,
for
but all
everything.
companies are doing that.
Yeah,
And I
because
think
they know
that
it makes
phase
money.
Needs to stop.
Mhm.
They are
Yeah.
cashing in on nostalgia because they know they can. But there was something else I was gonna say about going off of that. like I said, the strike is to fight for a way to regulate AI, because we're not going to know if it was written by AI or not, because they do not have to credit the AI. They don't have to credit the people that went in. They don't have to right now, which is why they're looking for legal action.
I don't think AI is good enough not to
It is.
know.
I promise you it
If you're
is.
really paying attention, it's like,
Hold on.
you
I
know
gotta
when
find
you're
this article.
talking to an automated system when you make a phone call.
Yeah,
right?
but that's so much different. We're not talking about like ChatGPT. We're not talking about the mainstream, what they want us to see, AI.
Right.
They. Oh, I used the
The
they.
shadow-
The shadow government.
I love everybody in here.
Goodbye.
If you listen to this,
I'm
my
still
name's
a spy.
Ashton. Hit me up.
Thank you for your time,
Have a
Ashton.
good one.
You will be missed.
Very good.
You finally get
See
something in
ya.
a mic.
Thank you for your time,
I'm
man.
leaving also.
Oh, you're gone?
All right.
Another one
I'm
bites
just
the
gonna
dust.
say that AI is trying to take over the world, and they're training the AI. Have y'all not heard that thing about? Well, first of all, Shane Dawson. Look at his the music. No, not the music.
Not the conspiracy
No,
theories.
no, no.
Conspiracy
Yes,
theories
the
are
AI conspiracy theory is
Conspiracy
trying to take
theories?
over the world, and it's training the AI through Snapchat AI friend. So, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for your time.
Thank
We'll
you.
see you
Thanks.
another day, hopefully.
conspiracy theories
All right.
are a roadmap, or not a roadmap, but tend to be a like slope to far right. What's the word?
I feel like we're now getting
Propaganda?
out of topic.
Okay,
Yeah,
I was about to
it is.
say.
Everybody
Okay,
knows
I would.
just
I would
conspiracy
try to
theories.
try to keep the politics out of this because I
For
don't
the
want
love
to
of
get.
God.
I
I
want
said
to.
alt-right,
everybody
in my
is
defense.
talking about
Alt.
how AI
As
is
in
a
Nazis.
problem in the movie industry, but it's like, a few years ago they were using puppets. Nobody mentioned that because they didn't bring it up. It's like all those commercials with basketballs or all those stadium commercials, half of that was puppets. They only had half of that being regular people, and then they CGI'd all of that.
But there's still writers for that. Puppetry is an art form in itself.
Yeah,
They
even
were
without-
puppets that looked like humans that just sit in a chair. They didn't talk. They didn't do anything. They were space fillers.
But the thing is, you still need the puppet creators. You need people to make the miniatures for the puppets. You need the CGI people.
What
to
I'm
do
saying
that.
is that took away background jobs. No one had a problem with that.
Because it's also creating an equal amount of jobs for
No,
the
it is
people
not.
using the puppets.
Those puppets are made once. They're reused hundreds of times. That is not creating jobs. When they could have hired 500 more background actors to sit in those chairs.
You still need the people who are working the puppets. People
They
who set
didn't
them
move.
up.
That's
the
what I'm
people who
saying. These were like
maintain.
teddy bears that you sit on your bed. They
Then
didn't
they're
do
just
anything.
a prop.
They
It's
were
not a
props,
puppet.
and they were replacing
Yeah.
people.
Well, if there were no lines, then there was no people needing to be replaced. I guess in extras.
Those people still get paid. Those
Yeah.
people live their life on an 8-hour
But
day.
that was
doing
still
that.
like it's a stylistic choice to use puppets. It's not. We're not worried about puppets taking over the industry because it hasn't happened.
Yeah, but
And
that's,
they
that's
did
not
their
what I
while
mean. It's-
AI is on a, I just don't think it's analogous.
I think it is because it took away jobs. There were plenty
Okay, I
of
found
background
that.
actors that were saying, "Oh, well, we need to get hired." Well, we're only hiring 100 people for a 1,000-person commercial because the rest are just sitting in the chair as a puppet instead of having a live audience where we're going to CGI those 100 people and put them in with the puppet so it looks like movement.
In that case, let me ask you this: how do you feel about when they reuse extras? Because
That's perfectly good. Somebody's having a job.
but they could have hired more people and
No.
created more jobs.
Yeah, but they reuse half of those people do 5 different jobs because it's nepotism.
So what's the difference between reusing people and reusing puppets that need people to work
Puppets
with them?
don't pay taxes.
But the people working them
Yeah,
do.
the people making the prop.
There is no one. Okay, you're thinking more like Sesame Street puppets.
No,
that
I
is
think
not
you're
what I'm
wrong.
talking about.
No, not at
No.
all. I'm thinking of Adam Savage. You know him? He has created miniatures for movies. And in order for those puppets to work, you need the miniatures.
That's
that they
not what I'm
work
talking
with.
about. That's not the same thing.
Okay,
It's
then,
almost like the same
what
thing
exactly
as stop
is it?
motion, like how you have like those figures working.
Yeah,
like,
that's
those
different.
actors.
That's people working.
Then what
This
do you
is,
mean?
for instance, Budweiser commercials, phone commercials. I used to do Verizon commercials, and there was a network behind Paul walking with him. Those people got paid. Now you're in a stadium where they're doing that same commercial, and they only hire 40 people, and then they just pretend everyone else is there by throwing a puppet here, a puppet there, a puppet there. You just let a lot of people
So-
not have a job because it was easier to pose a puppet and put a wig on it instead of having a person.
Here's my counter argument for that. So wouldn't it create more jobs to have the people to move the?
No one
Props
moves
on
those.
it.
It's not stop motion.
But
But
they
I
said
No, I'm not
know.
talking about stop motion. But you know how?
No, that's the PAs did the same people. They hired no extra people for that. They eliminated jobs for that.
that's the same thing as reusing extras, though.
No, it is not.
Reusing the same
The
people for the same
extras
job.
are working. They are getting paid. They are paying taxes. They are doing a job. A puppet cannot do a job.
But the PA
But the
who sets
people-
them up aren't.
The PA is there all day anyway. Honestly, a low-level PA does whatever. They may go get your coffee. It's like, so it's not like you're giving them extra work. All you're doing is making their job harder, but you're not giving anybody extra work.
I feel like still this like we're not seeing a rise in puppets and commercials. Like there might have been a few examples of people doing that, but the reason no one's talking out about it
Do
is
you
because
really
it's-
look at the background of the commercial, or do you just look at the action that's going on?
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is with AI, the problem arises because AI is a growing issue that are putting people out of jobs. Meanwhile, the puppet thing appears once or twice. It's not a growing issue. I haven't even heard about it before you said this, which is why you asked earlier.
Exactly, because you have to be
Hey, I
working on
I hate to
set
interject,
to
but I
see
think
what
he's
they're
trying to
doing.
sell us something. What you trying to tell us?
Just want to tell you guys that I love you. Sorry.
Love you too.
Love you too, buddy. See ya.
I will say, just to interject, I think that there's a bridge here that we're not seeing. We both are saying the same issues, just on different sides of the
Yeah.
argument.
There's a
As
lot
you-
of things putting people out of work.
Exactly.
Yeah, but AI
That's,
is a-
we're thinking the same thing. You say that puppets are causing actors to lose their jobs. She's saying that AI is causing writers to lose their job. Writers, CGI artists, background workers, etc. It's the same thing, just with different circumstances, different time frames.
And
Puppets, AI.
I understand that to an extent. The reason I am saying it's also two different stances. She's saying, well, if the puppets weren't an issue to anyone else, why would the AI be? Is that correct too?
No, I'm saying they're both an issue when you use them that way.
Yeah, okay. That's fine, but the reason that I think it's an issue and is because people are not using it the way that we want it to be used. That is why people
That's
are
exactly
going
what
on.
I'm saying.
Okay, and I understand that. But also for the puppet thing, it feels as though it's an issue that like it can't really be backed up by much other than you saw a few commercials, but you don't know.
No, I was in plenty of those commercials.
Okay.
The problem is they have a set amount of people that they have to hire.
But some like because it's just another one-off commercial, I'm
not
saying
one off. This was a, you know how, like you're saying, people are making throwaway films because it's easy to do.
yeah.
Well, when someone decides, oh, well, we make a commercial every day, so we don't have to worry about the actors who come up that way.
But there
because
are
you can't start in, well, you can, but most people don't start in feature film.
Yeah.
You have to work.
What I'm saying though is that there are some commercials that call for 2 people. And you could argue all day that 2-person commercial should have had 6 people in it because there's 4 people, I don't know math, 4 people that need a job. That's more analogous or analogous, however you say that word.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. With the puppet thing because
That would mean that you couldn't do indie films with one person. It's like,
well,
I'm not saying that, like, I Am Legend. Think about how many people was in that film. But that film was meant to be that way.
exactly the same way that the commercial was meant to be that way. Like they
No.
didn't. Then why would they not have lines?
If you're doing a commercial where, say, the scene is
And making a
a
puppet
basketball
still is.
team, but you still have all the people that would go
I
to a
get that.
basketball game, you're supposed to have to pay those people to fill those seats. Well, if you take the shortcut and say, oh, well, let's only hire 40 people and let's fill the rest of the seats with puppets, you've eliminated a lot of jobs.
But also that commercial, like the writers did a poor job if that's the case on that. That sounds like a not
you don't
great
write
commercial.
background.
That's
In a
more
movie,
like
you don't
a budget
write
issue.
the people that are
and
walking
You
behind the
do.
stars.
You show everything for a reason.
You show it. You don't write what they're doing on the day. The PAs go, oh, well, why don't you walk over here and grab that? Oh, why don't you pick up this there?
it's
But
for
they're
a reason.
not written. That's what I'm saying. Those people are not
The
under
director
contract.
directs
They're
it,
below
though.
the line.
He makes a good point. and I'd
Yeah,
like
like
to,
it's a budget issue. It's more so like, okay, let's say this: I'm making a movie, right? It's $1 million budget, and who are we gonna pay? What can we afford? Let's just reuse a bunch of assets we already used from past films. This is one thing a series that does Kamen Rider. They reuse a lot of past assets, like costumes and all that. They even repeat
Right.
them. But the thing is, here's my question: are you paying the human in the end of the day who put all that labor, or are you gonna pay the machine?
a company is going to pay whichever is cheapest, and I think that's the big issue that we're trying to get at. In that case, with puppets, they still create jobs. Like, yes, some actors do lose that position, but there are other films that aren't using puppets. It's not a mainstream thing. But if they do use those puppets, there are CGI artists who need to work on it. There's more jobs behind that for that field. While in the case of an AI, it's just one person.
Why wouldn't you just use AI to edit that? You didn't pay people to sit there.
That's the issue.
That's exactly.
If
People
they use
are
AI,
What I'm
to do
saying
that.
is they both are eliminating jobs.
Exactly.
I
that's
would
the
like
issue.
to interject here. So, I agree with points that I've heard y'all say. I believe it comes down to budget, but I also believe it also comes down to having to manage all those people. I mean, you make an NFL or an NBA, whatever sport you want to make a commercial about. Dealing with 40 people is way easier than having to deal with 500.
Easy
That is-
eliminates jobs. It's like it
But
doesn't
here's
need
the
to be
same-
easy.
And I would agree with something else, something you said too, that it depends on what the context is and what is happening. Sometimes having just doing the CGI is better than having for a bunch of people for
Right.
context. But I really do think it comes down to budget and having just to manage coming with the CGI stuff.
There is also something. Some of us have kind of had this conversation prior to this,
Mhm.
and one point that you brought up was that for everybody who loses their job to AI, it just creates a need for new jobs.
Right, right.
Isn't that the same thing in this case? If an actor cannot get a job for that commercial, which decided to use puppets for a creative standpoint, couldn't they go and get a different position for a commercial using
If you
real
want to be an
people?
actor, you're not going to be a director. You're going to be an actor because that's what you want to do.
Mhm.
But what I'm saying is, when you work in that industry, there are several different levels of how a project gets created. Most people, even in the industry, they call a background cattle. They give them no respect at all. But if they weren't in the background, your movie would look stupid.
Agreed.
Okay? So what I'm saying is those people are needed
Mhm.
to pretend like, oh, well, let's just replace them because we only have to hire 40 people. It's like, yeah, you only have to use an AI to write your script, but why would you? I'm not saying, yeah, I'm down for the evil people that choose to do this and take everything out and let's just watch those movies because they're big budget. Who cares? Change the culture because you have that choice to go see that. You have that choice to support that. You do not have to.
The issue arises that they are not telling us what is and is not written by AI, and they're not crediting the sources that they used whenever they pulled to
Wouldn't
make
that
that
be
AI.
What told you? If you see no writer's credit, if you don't see
No,
that,
not
then you should know
necessarily.
it wasn't written by someone.
But the fact is, if it's a good film, because AI is new, it's not good right now,
It-
but 2 years from now could be just as good as a person. We don't know.
Same time, for the uncredited stuff in the show, Secret Invasion, the opening, that's just AI art. A lot of people didn't know about that until someone pointed out, and Disney didn't put the credit on it. They didn't say anything about it. That's the issue, because you will not know if that was AI unless someone told you. I never knew about that. till like
I
look
think
over
that being from a different generation, you always watch the credits. Me and my sister used to play a game. Can you say all the first names before they disappear from the screen, right? So when you see something that's not credited, if you're working in the major motion picture area, you're gonna get credited. If you're not credited, that's a red flag right there.
Yeah,
It's
then
like,
why
pay
wouldn't it
attention.
be a red flag for artists not being credited?
Artists are credited in that film. It's just nobody reads that far.
Exactly.
You have to, if you want to support what you're saying, you're gonna have to
I
know.
do, but the average person doesn't, and that's the problem.
Well, the average person
Isn't
It's
caring.
not gonna
That's
be-
the issue. That's why there needs to be legal action. No one's gonna choose the morality side of what we should do.
Most people.
Most people
Those
in
people
the
don't get a
industry,
vote,
big
though.
Hollywood, yes, they
the
do.
industry people are the ones that can say, oh, these people are not credited. Because when someone isn't credited and you take it to a union, they immediately jump onto that. So that's what you're paying that union for. Someone in that union is supposed to be watching each one of these films, supposed to be looking for the credits on each one of these films. And when it's not there, that's when we should take it to another level. That's when that should be a problem. You've crossed the line.
In that case, would you mind if I ask you a question real quick? You think that using puppets to take actors out of films is wrong, right?
Depending on what you're doing, yes.
Okay. So getting rid of those jobs for actors, not good. In that case, how do you feel it's a real life example in one of the new Star Wars movies? They AI generated a dead actor and put him into the movie and used him as an actual character. And that is a real thing. There are
Oh, yeah, they do that.
there are businesses in the world that buy dead actors' face, their everything about
Are
them.
they paying their legacy? Is someone
No.
getting that money? Then it
They-
shouldn't be
Then
done.
the
They
question-
own it. Yeah, it shouldn't be done. It's
But it
the
would be
same
done.
thing. We don't want AI to be used to take out actors' jobs
Right.
in order to create just new things from AI. Just copying old stuff in there without hiring
Right.
any new actors.
There's nothing creative about refurbishing that. However, for example, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, where they made Kurt Russell younger with that. It's like, okay, that's how it should be used. He's still being paid for that. But say, for instance, in Star Wars, I hear they brought back
The
Fisher. And I'm like, okay, well, is her family, whoever owns the rights to her image, are they being paid? Because if you just take a picture off the internet and you reanimate that, that's not right.
Here's the thing: if you're paying for someone's legacy, then and you're gonna reuse a bunch of old dead celebrities, what's gonna happen to people who want to go into that field?
Then
What's
you
gonna
can't
happen
do
to
it
them?
with music. It's like they
No,
do that
you
with
can.
music all the time. So why is it so different? It's like someone is being paid for that.
But we're fighting for, like, my argument is it needs to be regulated. I
Yeah,
don't,
it does.
exactly. I don't care about it being, like,
Yeah.
I don't want AI to go away. Again, I used it for, I used it for a paper maybe once or twice.
Hypothetically.
Hypothetically, it's allegedly I used it on a paper once or twice, but yeah, that's like, and that's me going a not so integrity kind of way with it, but that like is not putting anyone out of a job. That's just putting me.
No, but as your professor might think, where
I didn't
are
do it.
you in the
Hypothetically.
paper? No, hypothetically,
Allegedly.
for anyone that would
If I-
try
if I
to
did do that.
write a paper that way, it's
Who
like
would?
if
Yeah,
you
not me.
didn't change anything, that's complete plagiarism. Where are you? Where are your thoughts in that? The whole purpose of you writing this paper is to see what your take on that subject is. So if you don't do it that way, you're using it wrong. The tools can always be used wrong. It's like,
And I agree with that, but that's not necessarily the like argument that I'm like going for. It's more so and you guys keep on talking about AI as if it's like it's not there yet. It's not there yet. But the scary part is it is. Like I have this example that like I spoiled it already, but you guys might giggle a little bit at this, okay? So I'm gonna read you titles of like gag articles and you guys tell me if it's hee silly. Such as experts warn that the war in Ukraine could become even more boring. See, he giggled. Budget of new Batman movie swells to $200 million as director insists on using real Batman. Story of woman who rescues shelter dog with severely matted fur will inspire you to open a new tab and visit another website. Phil Spector's lawyer, my client is a psychopath who probably killed Lana Clarkson. Rural town up in arms over depiction in summer block. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that one.
But I'm like, okay, so
But
these
those
are
are all-
titles that are funny, but
Mhm,
the
that's what the
article
Onion does.
is the point. It's like,
The
I
thing
don't
is-
care if they came up with the title. I want to read the article, and if I read the article and the article doesn't feel like a person, that's different, and that's got to be individual,
But
honestly.
the Onion, they don't really actually write articles. They make gag article titles and like put like
Then
headlines.
no one's been put out of a job.
Well,
Not
no,
yet.
that's not the point I'm making. The point I'm making is that that's hilarious. They wrote some funny titles that are just as good, if not better, than some of the Onion titles I've already seen, which were written by humans. So hypothetically,
My vacuum can do funny things, but I'm not going to pay to go see it.
yeah, you aren't. But that's not. That's also not true. Your vacuum is not giving a punchline.
I'm just saying, it's like, I mean,
It's different.
A joke is
It's-
a joke.
I know, exactly, but jokes are, like, that is why it's scary to comedians. Like, a joke can be written into a show by that AI. It's not, even if it is just a one-off joke, like, that's still something written by an AI that took away from someone who, like, who is a comedian. It's scary to comedians.
That's the thing.
John Mulaney
Are
posted
you
that
going to
article.
watch like a Saturday Night Live that's just made by AI?
See, but you're not able to tell. You're still
You watch a
laughing at
Saturday
the
Night
joke.
Live
If you're
still in
watching it, you
Me,
are.
I
It's
love
people.
it.
It's people there.
It's hilarious.
It's like I'm not good. I don't care how funny a computer is. It can't move with the joke. It can't do that.
It
I'm still
can,
gonna go
though.
see the comedy show because I'm gonna watch Mulaney walk across the stage. I'm gonna watch him
Yes.
turn around and tell his jokes about when he was
That's-
a child.
That's great, but the jokes are still funny, and if they find their way into a show, that
I
which
don't
they
care.
will, yeah, you won't
that's
be able
okay.
to tell. It's
as
not.
long as it's not replacing
It
them.
is.
Because if you're not telling any original jokes, and
you are gonna
the
still laugh
computer
at them.
doesn't make up original
That was
jokes.
an
It
original
takes
funny
pieces.
joke.
It
You
takes
laughed.
okay, but the way these systems work is they take pieces of
Yes,
stuff that's
I
already been
understand
done and they put it together in the most probable way of the next word that's coming. Okay.
Not necessarily. It's not just that. That would be maybe for something like ChatGPT, but not DaVinci Code 02. That's a different 002. That's
you
a
can
different
tell
AI
what a funny
completely.
word is as opposed to a non-funny word, and the computer can do that too.
Yeah, but like, can you come up with on the spot a title that's just as funny as any of those that I read?
Yes, if you think about it. But that's the whole point. It's like
Yeah, but we have to
most
sit there and think
people
about
aren't
it, and
going
AI
to
doesn't.
sit there and look at just funny titles. They want to see the content.
Well, that
after.
doesn't matter because the Onion. That's what we do. I follow the Onion on Instagram because they're funny. It's a funny title. It's a funny picture. I like
Are
it.
you
I
going to
keep
watch that
scrolling.
8 hours a day?
No, but that's not the point. What I'm saying, I promise. What I'm saying is that the jokes will appear in other things, and it's not necessarily. What they told that AI was something along the lines of write fake article headlines that are funny.
What happens when it starts telling racist jokes or jokes inappropriate?
They're not
what
gonna
happens
put that in. Then they're not
Yeah,
gonna
but
use
somebody
it.
decided that, right? Somebody decided what to put on there.
Yeah, but either way, it's still taking out a writer. That's in a writer's room anyway. We hear a joke. If someone suggests a bad joke, we'll say, let's workshop that. Or something along those lines. But with an AI, they can just be like, okay, well, that didn't work. Next one. Like, but you had something.
I think what she is trying to say, she means that as a warning. She's not
Yes.
talking about how somebody's just going to get an AI to write those jokes, go up and read them off. If it's able to make funny jokes that make you laugh, what's stopping a TV
Yes.
production from getting it to write TV jokes for a movie and then putting that in there in place of a comedian coming onto the writing team and making those himself? If an AI can make funny jokes, just get an AI to do it.
I have more.
Unscrupulous. That's just
That's
What
what,
I'm
we're trying to
saying is,
say. We agree with you.
have to decide whether you are going to use it for the dark side. That's the same
But we're not
argument that people
deciding
are
it.
making with guns. It's the same argument. You decide what's on the air. Someone has to decide what is given to the public. Because
That's-
right now, you can't just anything you want to do.
We're
Somebody's deciding
arguing
what
the
it is.
same point, but it almost sounds as if you're saying it's not going to happen because we have to decide. But the thing is, we're trying to decide now. So I have this stance that I am telling you about because
I completely understand what you're saying. I just feel like The Onion, I know who they are too.
Yeah.
I know that they're an internet site.
Yes.
And yes, it's not just one person running that site though.
Yeah.
So that's a whole team of
Yes,
people that
and
decide.
that is correct. But as an example of how scary AI is, it showed that AI is fully capable of writing a funny joke. It doesn't matter that it was an article heading, like he said, that's not necessarily what we're arguing for. It's just that this was an example of it being funnier than what I could do in a second. Meanwhile, they did it fast, quickly, and efficiently.
Without
But I
Only
highly doubt
without
it's
anything.
funnier than what Richard Pryor could do. If you're a great comedian, that's not going to be an issue.
Except why, like John Mulaney posted this article that I got that from on his story saying this
Yes,
scares
he's
me.
been through some things.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't make it not funny.
No, he's a hilarious guy. But he's been through some things, and that is why he can say, oh, well, this is scary. But I can guarantee you, no one who's a fan of his is going to be looking at the computer over him.
Well,
It's
no, but
more
it's the
about-
fact that we don't know when the computer is being used. I keep bringing that up.
that's why we want regulations.
Yes.
We
That
think
is
AI
what
is
credit
dangerous.
is for.
Exactly.
But
if
we
it's
don't
not
have it
credited,
right
then
now.
you know.
So if we want the credit and everything else, then we have to fight for it the way that we are with this stance, saying
Right.
there's a problem, we need to fix it.
Right.
And so whenever you say, well, I feel like this could be this could happen with this, like, or this happened with the puppets and no one cared about that, it makes it seem like, oh, okay, let's just not care about it. I'm not saying that's your stance, but that's
Right.
how it comes across. And so we keep on going in this circle of like, it matters, or like, no, it doesn't matter because like,
I agree with you.
Yes.
It completely matters. I just don't agree with the way you may be implementing it. Because as I say, you won't know necessarily from reading the material. But you will know if you pay attention. Like, for instance, in cartoons, people say, oh, no one looks at the credit, no one cares about that. Those people went to school for that. Those people trained for that. So you read
But
those
the
credits,
average
they
person
get
doesn't.
credited. The average person is really not the person making this argument, though.
yeah,
because
but
they
it
don't
is
care
the
where
person.
they're getting
They
their
are the
content from.
consumer. They're the
That's the
general
point.
audience.
That's what I'm saying. They don't care where they're getting their content from.
That's the
But the
point we're
people
trying to
who's
say.
making this has to care, because everybody who's making this
But those
is in a
people
union.
are getting kicked out, or like not kicked out, but fired from their jobs. Thus, the strike. Those people have no say.
Well, Space, you've been
you had
pretty
something
quiet,
to
man.
say.
What you got to say?
It's this whole like how she was arguing about the comedian. It's like, you know, like how like there's like always gonna be a group of people, like, you know how Goosebumps, like we all read the Goosebumps. It's by different people. They use the same alias, but we have jokes. AIs are doing jokes now. When it goes to stories, how are we gonna know when it's gonna be a story?
I actually have something related to this. You guys want to hear a quick little short story?
Go
Of
ahead,
course
yeah.
we
All
do.
right, guys.
Yeah.
So this is called Anthem, and it was written by a promising young writer. It's a metaphor. See if you can catch on to it. I'm not going to say the cuss words that are at the end.
PG-13.
PG-13. There's a few ones that would exceed the PG-13. So it says, a hole in the floor begins to grow. It grows throughout the day, and by nightfall it has grown so large that everyone at work needs to hustle around it. Our office furniture is rearranged. There are whispers. In the end, it makes more sense for those of us whose cubicles were near the hole to work at home. Our conference calls are held over video, and no one mentions the hole. Somehow the hole is growing, taking over the building. But for some reason, it is off limits as a topic of conversation, just another corporate taboo. We are instructed not to arrive on Monday before noon. On Tuesday, we are told to check our email for further instructions. We each wait at home, where the smell of the hole is still in our hair and a black powder is still in our clothes. And when we all camp out in front of the building the next day, holding signs with carefully worded appeals to upper management, when we block the roads with our cards and drape ourselves in the company colors, we are fired and do not take it well. We circle our former place of employment day after day. Covered in darkness, we scream until our voices snap. Effing S-word hole. We chant effing S-word hole. The end. That's the story. What do you guys think about that?
That's definitely AI generated.
Why
No,
would
no.
you assume that? It's about AI.
Yeah, I was about to say it's just a metaphor.
It's a
for
metaphor AI.
Like
It's
this,
saying this hole is getting bigger and bigger, and soon it's kicking all of us out, but we're all just ignoring it.
and the company doesn't care.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. No, wait. I realized I got mixed up. My bad. I thought you meant that was written by an AI.
Well, the other thing is that it was.
Okay, no, never mind. This is the second time.
The writer.
Oh, it was written by
The
AI.
writer of
knew
this
it.
Okay.
piece.
Some
writer
people
of this
can pick up
piece-
on those things.
Cause-
Because to me,
cause-
I'm
just
listening to
the
the story and it just,
Because the
It's
thing
not-
is,
it-
I've been.
I see no connection with that
This,
story as a
this is
person.
what I do as a hobby.
I
you know,
definitely
I
felt connection
write
with
short
it.
stories.
You
I
did.
write a bunch of stuff. I roleplay. I do like whatever people do. Like in their spare time, like you can pick up some things that just like felt off.
I can
Yeah,
tell
Like
you.
it, like it's
Oh,
like
sorry, so you're
like it didn't felt human. That's it. Like people are gonna have grammatical
See,
errors.
and
whatnot.
people like you that can see
But-
that should be in the union testing for things like that.
But
And
I-
like that's how we get it from being
Then why am
so
I on the
mainstream.
podcast? That's the question. Why am I explaining it now?
But the
Because
thing
other
is,
people, like she said, it's not for the general person doesn't notice it.
but the thing is, the metaphor is a good metaphor. That is a strong, very good metaphor. That reminds me of the work of like writers such as, oh God, I love her so much, but I can't even remember her name. She's a Southern writer of short stories. Short stories are short. They get to the point. They're simple. They're
I
metaphorical.
think it's a good
They
start.
No, I think that was great. That was exactly the metaphor is clear, and it may not be like necessarily like there's a short story that's like my favorite, and it's called Where Are You Going? Sorry, Where Did You Come From? Where Did You Go? Or Where Did You Come From, Cotton Eye Joe? No, I can't remember the name. It's like Where Are You From? Where Are You Going? Something like that. Either way, it's an extended metaphor about like it's super creepy. It's about this guy who's like a creep and like is on this little girl's porch and is like, hey, I'll find it and I'll get back to you. But hold on one more second. You're fine. But with that, it does the same thing that something that is like learning from my AP Lit class that I can't shut up about is AP Literature worthy. Like you can assess that. You can find the metaphor, like I said.
But I think
Where
you
are
like
you
the
going?
concept.
Where have you been?
That's it.
By,
It's great.
By Joyce Carol Oates.
Yes, I love her. She's awesome.
It's like liking that concept. There's nothing wrong with it. That
No,
was
no.
a great concept.
But it's not
But-
even just a concept. That was the whole story. And
No, I get what you're saying. Someone else,
But you-
once AI wrote that, right?
yes.
Great concept, great short story.
That's
now
what's
give it to
scary.
a real person and write that short story.
Well,
it's
the
not
short story.
done.
Yes, it is.
It's done because it's a short story by definition. It's not done because it's written by AI. So
yes,
it's not.
but you guys did not know that until I delivered it.
He did.
Yeah,
And
he
I
did,
didn't
but
think it
then
was
Oh,
on.
the
I
thing
thought
is,
something
then
was
he
wrong
immediately-
with it.
There's 5 of us in this room. 2 of us figured out it was AI. 3
I
of
didn't.
us,
I didn't know it was AI the first time I
Okay,
read that
so
article.
4 of us didn't know it was AI at
And
first
even then,
glance.
once I told you,
So
it's not a
1 out of 5
Wait,
people
3.
will only know.
2 noticed something was wrong.
But
So let's just say this: 2 out of 5 people so that meaning
the
2
majority.
out of 5 people will know it's an AI, and those other 3 out of the 5 people will never know it's an AI. So where's the line?
Because
Where's the line?
personally, for me, when she read that, it simply sounded to me like a short story or a poem that is specially written. Because a lot of authors have their own writing style. That just sounded to me like
Like a
an
writing
author
Do you
style.
has
think
their
we
own
should
writing
raise the
style.
quality of our artistry?
well, that's not. It wasn't bad quality. Someone who
That's not what I'm saying.
Well,
I'm not
no.
saying that was bad. It
I
wasn't
know.
that it was bad.
What I'm saying though is that you guys were saying it sounded incomplete.
Not to me.
I know. I do not think it sounded incomplete whatsoever. It sounded like a specific writing style where they
I don't
used
think
we.
I don't mean incomplete. When I
Mm-hmm.
listened to that, I didn't feel a person behind it.
Well, I felt the message of AI and
The
that
message
problem.
was great.
Exactly,
The
that's what
concept
I
was great,
felt.
but I didn't feel a person
See,
behind
but we
it.
have
There can be bad stories that don't feel human.
yeah,
Right.
but
There
not
can be.
necessarily. This whole article was written because of Base 4, which is more powerful than Da Vinci Code or Code Da Vinci 002 or whatever it's called, which made those funny jokes. And so that's you don't know about Base 4. A lot of people don't know. I didn't know about Base 4 before this, and it's another even more powerful AI that is at the level that we're all worried about. You guys were worried. They're like, if it can write jokes, what about when it can write a story? That story was compelling and it had a message. That like is what I usually am worried about with AI, because you're taking the
Ultimately,
human
You could
out
make
of
drugs,
the story.
but the pharmacist doesn't let you buy them. You see what I'm saying? Somebody has
Okay.
to regulate that, like you are saying.
Exactly, and that's the whole argument. But that there is no regulation right now is what I keep bringing up.
That's the issue.
The issue is that there is
I
no
don't
regulation,
think
so we can't
anybody's
just
arguing
leave
about
it
that
to.
it needs regulation. It definitely needs regulation.
Except there are definitely people arguing about the fact that it needs regulation.
I think the biggest thing is we are just working people. A big time company is going to see something like that, because you've seen how Disney has been making horrible movies lately.
Yeah.
They still mostly profit off of it.
They do.
Why
No.
pay so
Yes,
No,
they
they
do.
don't.
The box office. You can
It's
look
like,
at the
do you know
box
how
office
far-
records. They have dropped hundreds
drop-
of millions.
Okay.
They're in
Okay,
a lot
like,
of
no,
danger right now.
Barely any of the movies they have sent. I can attest to this. I've looked it up. I cannot remember where I looked it up. I've heard and seen that majority of the movies that Disney has made have been big budget, hard drop offs.
The thing.
They have lost hundreds of millions of dollars. They are not making money off of
But that's
barely any of these
a real
movies.
person's bad decision, though.
But here's the thing also. Originally, reboots were making that money because it fuels off of nostalgia. It remembers people who grew up with those movies are now adults, and they want to take their kids to those movies and share that same magic, like Cinderella or whatever else. Those first few
I
reboots.
can tell you that 8 years ago
No.
they were saying stop making
Hold
reboots.
on. Yes, that is true. That is true. But they were making a lot of money, and they might have finally people are catching up and being like, okay, we're done. We have had enough. But originally, they were making money. They were making a whole lot. It was like Aladdin made
So
a
you
ton.
don't believe that people will catch up with AI too?
AI progresses so much faster than people do, which
It
is why
evolves.
It
exactly
evolves
it's
faster.
already evolving to the point that it's like even with the person. So like I want
I
to.
just don't agree that it's
But
that good.
It is like
It's
that.
good because you didn't see it, but you are one person, right?
Yeah, but
Um,
I'm still the majority of people. Like 2 out of 5 may have noticed it, but like 3 is still more than 2.
Also,
The
It's funny to me
general
how people think
audience.
they can be a majority when they're one person. It's
I'm
like,
not saying I'm the majority.
No, understand what I mean. I'm not downing you personally or anything like that.
She's just trying to
But-
give a general consensus on how the
I
average
understand what
person
she's
will work.
saying, but the average person is no longer the average person. This is America.
well, what she means is 3 out of 5 people thought that it was a actual
9 out of
story.
10 dentists recommend this toothpaste, but I don't
Yeah.
like it.
It's an average for a reason. You fall out of the average.
Yeah, you're the
Simple as that.
outlier.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe we shouldn't all try to be in the majority. Maybe
We're not trying
that
to
is
be.
where we would
We're
have
not, no.
more
We're not
creative
trying to be in the
difference.
majority. It's about what is the outlier. What? Never mind. I
I
lost
mean,
my
like,
train of
if
thought.
you like what you like, and if majority
Right.
likes something, then that's the majority's take
It's
on it.
always been my look at majority, and it's like it's not really that they all like it. Is that people that they like it.
It's
The
about
same
finding
way
your
we
target
got a
audience.
president where
Yeah.
he was popular, but he wasn't good.
Well, the thing is, the majority is the majority for a reason. When you say the majority, it means that
Because it's easy.
no, a majority of people enjoy it.
A majority in actual study is not really because of that. It's the same reason people win elections, and I'm not talking about presidents now. I'm talking about it's a popularity contest. If this is popular,
Agreed.
and I tell my friend to go watch this because I loved it so much, and they respect my opinion, then they're going to watch it. And odds are they're going to like it too because I liked it. And they're going to tell their friends, and they're all going to like it. Does it
Wouldn't that
necessarily
work the
mean
same
that they
way with
really
AI?
liked it?
Like,
No, they liked what you liked because you told them it was good.
But the fact of the matter is, they still say they enjoyed it. They still went to watch it, and they still overall liked it. They
It's
may
gonna
not
be
have been
more-
their
be
favorite
okay.
thing.
yeah, it's
That
gonna
It's
be
should
more.
just
not.
be the
It
thing.
shouldn't.
Well, that's nothing exactly to do with the conversation. That's everyday life.
Yeah.
That's still, yes, everyday life. AI is mimicking everyday life, everyday people. So when it decides that, hey, let's kill a bunch of these people just because we having a bad day, that's the majority of people might someday feel like doing that, but they don't always do it. So how is that okay?
That's why we need regulations. That's what we want.
We need rules.
We want something
need
to
rules.
govern that AI. And
Yes.
also, going back on a separate point
Mhm.
you said that AI cannot copy a person. I want to give you an analogy. The first plane, I don't know the exact date, it was made sometime in the 1800s. It's been about, 200 years, and we landed on the moon. We've sent rovers
So
to
they say.
Mars. So they say. We have no proof. Personally, it's all made of cheese. But in a few years, AI has advanced to the point where it is making funny jokes. It is making what a majority believes to be
Or
real
majority in
content.
this room.
The fact that it's evolved in 3 years in such a short time span, what will it do in that 200 years that we've evolved in?
To go
So-
back on your point of the first airplane was made in 1903.
Yeah.
That's even, it's only
So-
been about 120
Here's the thing.
years.
So, here's the thing. So, humanity has been around for 10,000 years, right? Because human era, whatever. If you know what I'm talking about. So, 10,000 years. We started with art. The art has been part of with humanity through those 10,000 years. AI gets invented. And in just 3 years, it's already there. We're they're exactly our level. We can't tell what's the difference. So it took us 10,000. It took us 10,000 years to understand art, and we still barely know about it. It's a form of
Still
expression.
creating.
It's still creative.
There's still so many
10,000 years of
messages.
human creativity gone in just 3 years.
That's actually a
I
great
can
point.
say a majority of people don't know art. They know what they like.
The thing is,
But that's
the
art
thing
to
is,
them.
the thing is,
That's why I'm
Exactly. Art is
saying, it's like,
suggestive.
so that's
Art-
suggestive when you say AI is as good as people. It's like for people who like that kind of art, it's as good for
the
them.
thing
subjective.
is, you can.
But AI
It's
can make
subjective.
any kind of art. It
It
can
can.
make a funny title for an article. It can write a short story about the growing issue of AI. It can make art that
If you
is-
don't pay attention, you will be replaced.
No. The thing is,
But it's not. It's not a matter of paying attention. It's a matter. It's falling into those corporate hands, and whether or not we get hired. It's already such a competitive, line of business going into acting, going into directing. It is competitive even against people. So now that we're introducing artificial intelligence in, not that we want to. I don't want to. It should not be introduced in. Just like you said, we shouldn't be doing these things. We shouldn't. But it is happening. It's going to happen if we do not regulate it. And AI is able to learn so much vastly that it doesn't matter what specific thing it's trying to make, because art is subjective. Something that may not interest one person, it can just in a matter of seconds make something that will interest someone else. That way it is finding every single target audience and appealing to them, where that again is putting out writers and actors and directors because they don't have to. There's there's AI editing softwares where you tell it, edit this to look like this, and that will put out videographers for sure. Editing, I love that part. And so when I heard about Adobe Firefly, I was like, no, don't be better
I'm
than
still
me.
waiting on
About-
my invitation to the new project for Adobe Shasta that is using AI, because as a person who's been on one side of the industry that's trying to break into another side of the industry, I don't have the money to pay them to make one project to get your name out there. Then you hire real people because no one wants to work alone. It doesn't feel the same. Yes, you can do project after project after project, but should you?
does the average person have that money to put their name out there?
Exactly.
No, they don't, which is where AI helps
Does the
you
average
get
person
into
have
the
the
field.
kind of money
But-
to go into the acting industry?
What do you mean AI
Yes.
helps you get into the field?
Okay,
For
so
instance, if I'm writing
Mm-hmm.
a short film or a comic book or something like that, I have my own ideas. I didn't ask the computer to create it for me. I'm using it as a tool, not an end.
Which is the regulations, because that would be ideal. That's what we want to move towards, or at least more towards.
Exactly. So are
I
you
would
afraid of
argue.
AI, or are you afraid of fear that
No.
someone will use it wrong?
It's not a fear. It is a matter of this is what's happening. This is why the WGA strike is happening. It's because we are seeing people get like pushed
It's not
out.
the main reason.
No, it's not
It
the
is
main
one of
reason.
them,
It is one of the reasons, and
one
it's a
of them,
big
but
one,
it's the
and it's
same
a scary
small
one.
reason why actors are on strike as well. Why SAG is on strike as well.
It's still
But the
it has
main
pushed
reason-
itself much further into the mainstream because it is
The
become
main
such a big
reason is
problem.
because of the major movie companies. Those are the
Yes.
people that are abusing this. And
Yes.
I don't see anybody getting off Netflix because now
I'm not
you
on
have
Netflix.
eight episodes in a season instead of 22.
Yeah, just
People are losing money. People are losing jobs.
off topic. All episodes, which are less than like 13, shouldn't exist.
Yeah, it shouldn't.
Give me
It's like
20
you can't get a full
episodes.
story in 8 episodes.
Well,
That-
I don't
that's a short
necessarily
story.
know if
It's a
that's
short-
true.
I don't want to see a short story that's supposed to be a weekly episodic show.
Because like
it's never supposed
HBO
to end.
Max has 4 episode shows that are pretty baller.
Yeah, but they're going off the
Chernobyl
European
was
model.
baller. I was a
They're going off the
big
European
fan.
model, and we've always had like special events, like TV movies, where it's
Well,
just on for a
exactly,
week.
but like that,
You know.
it still told the whole story within 4 episodes, and there's not a season 2 of
If you
Chernobyl
can,
coming out.
then yes, you should do that if you can tell your story. But I just don't see how there's not more thirst for I want to know more.
Well, also watching 37 episodes, like like a show that I happen to watch, like, and I appreciated so much of this one season. I hate when shows have more than one season. That makes me crazy. It's like I don't know. I'm crazy like that. I'd rather like I get too attached to characters. I get so
They're your family after you watch
they're my
them for so
family,
long.
guys. I get so
One
attached.
Piece, the
I
One
feel
Piece
like-
is real.
Oh no.
I'm on 570.
No,
Same.
you guys are both menaces. I can
Episode
never.
600.
Yeah, no thanks.
No, the thing is,
Hey, I will say this. At first, I did not want to watch One Piece.
It's
But-
dangerous.
I will not do
I-
that.
Hey,
I
want
got-
more
I got-
episodes. need
I
more
got
episodes.
real interested after that, like
I'll
that,
stick.
like the second or third episode. I was like, you know what?
It's good.
But here
it's
I
good.
am.
It's good.
I was not big into anime until I watched One
Most
Piece.
shows, it takes 3
Well, I'm
to
not
4
big
episodes
now,
for me
but
to even be
I'll
like,
watch
okay,
it.
this is worth watching.
I think it depends on the show because there are shows that are so good with that pilot episode.
Yeah, the first episode
that
was
guy
amazing.
is Glee. That was a whole good time.
I had never seen the show.
That show
Same.
is off the walls insane. That's what makes it so funny. Like it's just like Ryan Murphy is insane. That guy, the writer, he did like Scream Queens and The Politician as well. And like he names characters based off songs that he can use later. Like it's
I can respect
no,
that.
but it's funny. It's like it is just insane because it's like how this is not real. This is obviously not real, but it's so not real. But like that's an
somebody
I
example.
love
will
it. I
Like
need
yeah,
it.
that pilot is so insane that you're like, okay, yeah, I can stick
But
around.
wouldn't that
for more
be a
episodes.
style? It's like, so that would be, not that I've seen any of those shows, but would that be more like people who like surreal type shows?
It's almost surreal.
If we're talking about styles, every person has their own style of doing things.
Yep.
Everyone has a different art style.
Yes.
Everyone has different forms of expression. AI only has one style. That is
But
very
it's-
common. But
Actually,
it yes, it can also replicate other styles, but
It's not
It's
necessarily
not-
replicating though. It's kind of working the same way a person
Okay.
works when they make their style. I appreciate certain things about filmmakers that I've seen, and I think
it's inspiration.
yes, it's inspirational. It's drawing inspiration.
Well,
I'd say everyone, we're kind of running out of time. We could
Yep.
probably all give our closing statements.
Yeah.
Yep, I was just about to get on that. So
Like, I think we've
Let's
been
go.
on for what, like 2?
we've been there for 2 hours. I was
Yeah,
not. I was
wow.
not. I was
yeah,
not.
It's been a while.
My bad.
I was not given a time limit.
Yeah.
I
So
don't think there is one.
No, there
Yeah,
isn't.
but I got
That's why.
homework.
yeah, I got you. So well, anybody else got to go?
No, but if they
I believe
that
this
we
is a
would.
great discussion.
Yeah,
Yes.
I promise, guys. I always sound when I speak very passionate or very upset. I am never upset. I'm sitting here with a
I mean,
smile
you're
on my
sitting here with
face.
smiles.
Exactly.
It's like, I see.
Yeah.
A lot of people will
I feel
assume I care so deeply about this because I really, really, really want to be able to make film. I don't even really care about the writing aspect as much because
I think if you're good, no one can stop you.
yes, and no one can stop me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, those big corporations are the ones. That's the ones that are in the mainstream. Meanwhile, the little stuff is getting covered up pretty good.
I told someone this. I was like, so what are we gonna do with our passwords when Google goes out of business? It's like these companies are big. They're big for now. You can be the next big thing. Anybody can if you're consistently good.
Especially if we were to introduce regulations, though, because there are writers who are good. Like I am in love with this show called Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. It's so good, and Rachel Bloom is an icon.
We're gonna do a show on great shows.
Hey, we can do that for next
No,
time.
I know.
So
Hold on.
okay,
Rachel Bloom
go.
is part of the WGA strike that's happening right now. She cares deeply about it because she's a writer and she's seeing it affect writers, even though she's already been successful and people love her, just like me. But there's still like, she can still create, but she can still also be put out of a job pretty easily because she is still like a writer. But it doesn't matter. But my whole point being,
No, you're good. But my dad always said, why do you want to work for someone else when you can work for yourself?
because it's not necessarily like you just have to have the money to fund it, and
Not necessarily. I mean, look at
If everyone
Silent
worked
Bob.
for themselves,
Look at Silent Bob. He had no money.
if everyone worked for themselves,
You didn't say
you would have
anything
no
either.
one to work for you.
No. People like collaboration. But what I'm saying is, you don't have to depend on the big business. You can make big business, make the policy, make it the way you want the world to be. You don't have to accept what's out there.
Okay, we're done.
We
We're done.
would love to continue, but
Yes,
we
we got-
do need to wrap this up.
Yes,
The
we do.
last thing I'll say, in my personal opinion, choose to agree or not, I think that there will always be somebody who is out there to take advantage of something.
Yes.
Yeah.
No matter how good a president is, there's always going to be someone who will come afterwards who will take advantage of what that good person did.
Right.
Which is why you kind of need those regulations to keep big companies corrupt people in check. That's all I'm
Exactly.
going to say.
Okay. I agree with you.
My closing statement, I can keep it short. This was a great experience.
Agreed.
This was an awesome conversation. And go watch One Piece. This is Joseph Ross.
Yes.
All right.
Wonderful,
Well-
wonderful.
This has been the Broadcast Podcast with who?
Lashik?
Who?
Joshua.
Joseph.
Lily.
And your host, Max Gilkin, and I would like to formally apologize for not saying much. This is not something I'm
Well,
typically
You got that
very
silky
well.
voice, so it's okay.
Yeah, I've said not to. So this topic's not something I'm very well versed about. So I would like to formally apologize for not saying anything. But I will have to say this: I feel like AI is something that we can use for both good and bad, but it's all in how we use it and if we use it in moderation and who we put it in the hands with.
Agreed.
Excellent.
And I feel like everybody can use AI to an extent to be able to help them, and that AI can replace somebody only if they let them, though.
True. All right. That's a great point. I'd say that is a wonderful spot to lead this off. Thank you for watching, everyone.
Thank you for tuning in for Podcast Broadcast, and we will see you the next time.